Jimmy Burns from Malvern, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening, and welcome to the Really Big BBQ Central Show.
Ooh, this is nice!
This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If you would like to get in contact with the show this evening, or you would like to follow the show during off-show hours, here's how you can do all that.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, the BBQCentralShow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. He is a longtime supporter of the show. He is a captain of industry and business and running one of the most well-respected and well-acknowledged name brands in now both the offset and the pellet cooker industry manufacturing business. Ryan Zaboral joining us on the show. From Pits and Spits, pitsandspits.com. That's the double T on the pits and the spits. Let me change the spelling of that. So we will be talking about, twofold, I guess. In one form, it will be getting a business update. Sorry. And then we will be talking about a new announcement or new upgrade to the controller on some of those pellet cookers. So Ryan Zaboral out of the box, and then following up with that with huge news, our pal Steve Ray from Owl's Nest Barbecue. I'll leave it up to your imagination what Steve and I will be talking about. If you're a fan of the show over recent months and year, you know what we've talked about a lot, and it's not barbecue related, I can tell you that. So you may or may not know. A lot of you thought you were the first to let me know of the breaking news. No, not Barbecue Central Show breaking news. But a lot of you were thinking you were the first to break news to me about what Steve and I will be talking about. And I'm not here to be the wet blanket on everybody's good time. But let me say this. When people were feverishly emailing me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even on Monday, Steve Ray and I already had our fingers on the pulse of this story a week before anybody even sent email or DM or text number one to your humble host. So Steve and I continuing to follow things before anybody else knows about it. doing our journalistic due diligence and not quickly reporting stuff that we can't confirm. But needless to say, we knew all about what was going on, so don't worry. But we'll cover it 35 past the first hour. That'll bring a close to the first hour. Then we'll move to the second hour, where we will have a first-time guest and the runner of one of the most prolific barbecue restaurants, not only in the state of North Carolina, but indeed the country, Chris Prieto of Prime BBQ. And there's something I'm going to mention right off the rip as we get into the intro of Chris in the second hour, as we were sound checking yesterday. And he just casually mentioned it like halfway through the sound check. About brought me to the floor with what he told me as it relates to this show. I'm going to leave it there. Let it marinate. Let it dry brine for an hour and change. Then we'll get back to it. 10:35. It is a quarterly visit from Texas Monthly's barbecue editor and my good pal and Buckeye, even though he doesn't like to ever admit it, Daniel Vaughn. I don't know if you've heard or not, but about 3 weeks ago, the latest edition of Texas Monthly's Top 50 or 50 Best, or These Are the 50 You Want to Hit If You're in Texas barbecue list was released. They do it every 4 or 5 years or whatever it is. And we'll talk about generally the top 50. We'll do a very brief recap on how it all comes together, because we're gaining new audience and new listeners all the time. So a lot of you might not even know how it's actually structured, other than knowing that you want to be on it. And then, of course, we'll dive into the top 10 and talk intimately about who number one is, that being Ernest Cervantes and, Dave Kirkland? Is it Strickland? Or I think it's Kirkland. Down at Burnt Bean BBQ Company in Seguin, Texas. From all accounts, well-deserved, well-rewarded, well-earned, as I just said. But we'll talk to Daniel about how Ernest and Burnt Bean comes up to punk a Goldies and rebuffing them from a back-to-back number one. I don't know how many back-to-back number ones there's actually ever been. I know there's been number one, some time off. The restaurant comes back to number one prominence again, but all things to be answered here during Daniel's segment. And again, that's 35 past the second hour. And then we'll call it a wrap. So that's how the show is laying out here tonight. Ryan Zboril, Steve Ray, first hour, Chris Prieto, and Daniel Vaughn in the second hour. Don't forget, you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, all at the handle at BBQ Central Show. Of course, we say good evening to all of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can go to youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. And we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests. And the question is this: is banana pudding the best barbecue side? And currently 56% of you are saying no. If you were a watcher of the show last week, where the question is being spawned from, you would know that I am disagreeing with 56% of you. Banana pudding, easily the best barbecue side. Not even close as far as what's a better barbecue dessert. Nothing. Nothing is a better barbecue dessert. Everything else, boat raced second, third, fourth, fifth, you name it. Banana pudding, easily the ultimate barbecue dessert. But I am putting it in there with barbecue sides as well. Crack's Country Cooking, F that banana. Sorry. You and Sam the Cooking Guy, Crack, have the same outlook on banana pudding. Sam quickly texted me this morning, said he ejected out of the male piss hygiene segment that I funneled in to replace Meathead's no-show. By the way, for those of you asking, Actually, I should do this instead. We got 38 seconds left.
BBQ Central Show exclusive news update.
Right, Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live-fire breaking news across the country, nay, the globe. And a lot of you wondering if Meathead is okay, if he has met his ultimate demise finally. He does make often mention of his advanced age at this point. And while Meathead might be EOD close, indeed, he is still alive, if you can believe it. I'm not going to get into his health. That is his business. Maybe we talk about that in next time he's on, 3 months' time from now. But he is doing much better. He was in the hospital. He was fighting some health issues that, again, I'm not talking about because it's not my health issues to talk about or not talk about. But he's doing much better now and has assured me that he will do his level best to meet us in, I guess, what would be October? Where we might be able to talk about this book in 3 months' time. Maybe at that point, there'll have been enough time in the sales process to see if it's a New York Times bestseller like his first book won. Time will tell. All right, look, if you're serious about your grilling game, then by all means, you need to check out the latest from Pits and Spits. We'll start it off by talking about the Pits and Spits griddle. A gas griddle combining the power of a traditional grill with the versatility of a flat-top griddle. Engineered with precision, crafted from top-quality materials, this versatile griddle set to revolutionize your outdoor cooking experience. Constructed of 304 marine-grade stainless steel and a fully welded design, the griddle comes with 4 burners to accurately manage your heat zones and gets blistering hot with 80,000 BTUs. Made with the Pits and Spits signature quality, this griddle designed to last for generations. Your grandkids will fight over it. That's what that means. Now, for those of you building your ultimate outdoor kitchen in 2025, you have to check out the brand new built-in pellet grill designed for the discerning grill master who demands top-tier performance. This grill, the centerpiece of any serious outdoor kitchen. From low and slow smoking to high heat searing, this grill can handle it all. Brisket, ribs, pizzas, veggies. You name it, this grill can cook it. And with the Pits and Spits legendary craftsmanship, you can be confident it's built to last with stainless steel construction and a design that's as reliable as it is versatile. So if you're ready to take your cooking game to the next level, head on over to the website, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. Then, as you're checking out, use promo code BBQ Central for a free spice pack with orders over $500 or more. Once again, pitsandspits.com. That's all spelled out with the Pits and Spits. PITTSANDSPITTS, the double T.com/BBQ Central. And then promo code BBQ Central for a free spice pack with orders over $500 or more. He's not in the box yet, but my fingers are crossed for a Ryan Zaboral right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard, makers of Fireboard 2, Fireboard Pro, Fireboard Spark, Fireboard Beacon, and the all-new wireless Fireboard Pulse. When you use the Fireboard app, you have total access to all devices anywhere in the world. Check them out online, fireboard.com, or call with questions for crying out loud. Use the blower and get answers to your questions post-haste during business hours. 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232. Ted Conrad might actually answer the phone himself and lend you the foremost expert advice on any of those products. In fact, I do have to get a Fireboard beacon or two for my cigar humidor. Then I can launch the Fireboard 2, put in the little Bluetooth. It's not Bluetooth. What is it? Yeah, I guess it is Bluetooth. The sub 1 gigahertz antenna onto the Fireboard 2, and then that's what would read the sub 1 gigahertz information. So all the way down in the basement where the cigar humidor is, we'll track the humidity, make sure that I'm at or around 60% humidity. And cigar folks, cigar experts, don't come at me with your emails talking about how 70. You do your due diligence, Jack. I'll run my humidor the way I see fit. If you subscribe to the 70, your prerogative. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that my cigars, all of them, will burn way better and smoke way better than your 70% humidity cigar. But if that's what you want to do, you go ahead. And if you have me over to your house and you want to have a cigar and you're running your humidor at 70% and you tell me, I won't say anything at all. I'll be happy to take your cigar and hopefully smoke it, although it'll probably be over-humidified. But I won't call you out or say you're wrong, just like there's no reason to send me emails saying that my humidor at 60% is way too low. You don't worry about it. Save the email. We can be friends even though we disagree, and we'll move on from there. So that's what I have to get from my guy, Ted Conrad, over at Pits and Spits, the Fireboard beacon. Plus, connectivity is close to a mile, I think. It goes through cinder block and all that fun stuff. Enough of that. Hey, my first guest tonight manufactures some of the best offset pits, pellet smokers, charcoal grills, now griddles, and other live fire products available in the market today. I am happy to welcome back our pal Ryan Zaboro from Pits and Spits. Ryan, I mean, you got to get on the computer hours in advance to be a guest on the really big show. This is no time for dicking around.
You're telling me my 2-year-old had different plans, unfortunately.
Understandable. So we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is simply this: is banana pudding the best barbecue side? Yes or no?
A side versus a dessert?
I'm going with side tonight.
Then I say no. I don't think it's a side. I think it's a dessert.
64% of the YouTube voting public. And by the way, not more than 4 minutes ago, it was a dead even 50-50, but it is now tilted 64% are agreeing with Ryan, saying no, that banana pudding is not the best barbecue side. I am such a fan and lover and eater of banana pudding as it relates to barbecue restaurants. I consider it a side. I will never not get it if it's on the menu. Certainly it is a dessert. If we're comparing banana pudding to other barbecue desserts, there is no comparison. Nothing is better than banana pudding. It's banana pudding like up here where you can't see, and then everything else is down here where you can't see. There's such a drastic delta between banana pudding dessert and everything else. I almost say don't have any other dessert. Either have banana pudding or don't have anything else.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think all the other desserts are kind of there because they're a dessert, if that makes sense. Whereas, like, I feel like a banana pudding is like part of the deal. Like it belongs there, and all the other desserts are kind of new, right?
Well, according to Dr. Robert Moss, who was on last week, for as much as my love affair with banana pudding runs very deep, banana pudding itself has only been around since really the 50s. And has only gained barbecue popularity within the last 30 to 40 years. So while I think because, we're kind of, you're probably younger than me, but I'm trying to make myself feel better here for the moment because we're kind of younger. We've always known banana pudding to be around barbecue restaurants, but evidently its lineage does not track back as far as like barbecues in general.
Yeah, but I think that's also because if you get too far back, barbecues are a community event, and that's very much like all the ladies bring a dessert, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's when you start to get into, I'm going to speak personally. It's like all the old ladies in my family, they're all good at something. It's a different kind of dessert, right? And so then everyone brings a different kind. And so it's a different, you get a lot of flavor that way. But like when I'm thinking, like if I'm paying for barbecue,
yeah, I
do think banana pudding. I know that, I know a lot of guys have a lot of different desserts nowadays, especially now with like the little Bluebell ice cream cups, the little, but man, I like in Texas, it's kind of gas station barbecue, Rudy's, man, great banana pudding. Like, I think it's so good.
The best banana pudding I've had in Houston is Truth Barbecue up there, north side of the city. Truth Barbecue has, like if Leo would sell it by the 10-gallon bucket, I would buy the 10-gallon bucket and sit down and eat the 10-gallon bucket. I can't buy enough. It is easily the best banana pudding I've ever had.
Huh. Well, I don't know about him, but I like Grant Pinkerton had like a true pastry chef on staff for a while. I don't know if he still does, but so he was really elevating his dessert options there. And so I think when you start getting into that approach, banana pudding kind of goes out the window, right? Like, because I mean, for me, banana pudding is like I want it out of a Jell-O packet, and I want vanilla wafers on it, and it's got to taste like fake banana. Like that's exactly what I want.
Have you ever been approached about making like those big commercial pits? It's probably like not necessarily like price competitive to some of these other guys, but you probably don't have to do that, right?
We don't. I mean, that's a business in itself, in my opinion. I mean, and that's a lot of because of the way our pits are designed. A lot of it is around the equipment that we own and that we use, and we don't do any tank work, right? It's like we could figure that out, but there's no real. I feel like that market's pretty owned by some really good guys, and 12 years ago when I kind of first started getting into this, had you told me, look, there's going to be 500 barbecue restaurants opening across the country, this market's going to be a real market, you should think about it, I think we would do it differently. But it's never been something we've had enough of an edge on to get into, because David Close owned it, kind of was a huge part of that market back in the 2014 kind of when I was getting into this 2014 timeframe. And then I mean, like Moberg has really taken a huge piece of that. Mill Scale has taken a big piece of that. Going back to Pinkerton, he's got 3 restaurants now, and each one of them has different. He's got Close at one place in Houston, I think a Mill Scale, and I think he might have Syntex at one of them. I'm not sure, but it just shows you how it's a weird market, right? Like even in that standpoint, it's hard to scale with. Whereas that's kind of how we think about things of like, well, how could we scale? Where can we compete? Where does branding work?
Where are you guys sitting middle of 2025 right now? What's business look like for you guys?
Man, so things have started to feel a little bit better the past, call it 60 days. This year's start, I mean, there was like a drastic change to the downside, like January 1. It was strange. Typically, it's not that abrupt of like you could feel the final page of the calendar turn going into 25. But things are starting to feel more positive. We're starting to get more dealers are starting to, or the wholesale side of the business is starting to be more positive. And just in general, we're, the phone's ringing more, like we're hearing from more people. I don't know if it was seasonality, weather, the economy, whatever, but it was a pretty bumpy start to the year, and from everyone we talked to, that was pretty consistent. That did not feel like it was a pits and spits problem. It was really just kind of a grilling market problem. So fingers crossed that it keeps going this way.
Let's talk about something that we had mentioned a couple different times. So we've talked. We had teased 2 times ago. We teased the 4-burner gas grill / griddle combo. Last time we actually talked about it because it was out ready for sale. But then also the last time on the way out, we had teased a 3-burner gas grill and griddle combo. Where are we at with that?
It is still it is purely a capacity issue. I mean, we've got to get it on our website, but we are playing catch up. We saw, nothing tariff related, but we saw some delays in some of our domestic, actually service providers, like some guys that do some like of the higher end bending and laser cutting for us. They got backed up, and then that kind of flowed down to us. That's put us a little bit behind, but yeah, the 3-burner's coming. I mean, we are going to build a line around this griddle thing. I mean, it's really it's really working well. And that is, for us, I mean, it's like if you want to have a portfolio of products, I think if you're someone like us, you got to do the griddle before you even do a pure play gas grill.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I think it's so popular. People are so hungry for it. There's one other American made option that's, stainless steel, and it weighs about 50% what ours weighs, and, has about 65% the BTU output. So, I mean, it's, that is the 3-burner's coming. Still looking for some testers. We have some, I think we have a pretty short list of guys who want to test for us, kind of in the Ohio region. But that's coming down the pipe, and that's going to be it's already middle of June, so I'll say an early fall thing for us.
Do you think the gas griddle phenomenon is something that, like, have we hit the crescendo and you feel like this is where the market is, or do you feel like we're still at the run up?
I think it's crescendoing, I guess, if you don't say. I mean, I think there's still a ton of room to run on it. I think that there is a lot of people don't. I'll talk about our product specifically. A lot of people don't even know the idea that you can get a griddle grill combination, but people are they're still kind of, they've got gas grills that they're trying to burn through, burn out before they get a griddle. You're seeing so much more money being put into it on like the big box side, which is good for us because that continues to build the market. And people, it's almost like it's having a renaissance and being cool, or like a resurgence being cool, I guess I'll say. In that, when pellet grills came through, there was kind of a turn your nose up at it because it's easy bake oven cheating. It's not an offset smoker. Then they became cool. And then it was like, oh, you smoke, you smoke a brisket, ribs, whatever. It's kind of like the low and slow kind of badass conversation. Now a lot of people are saying like, man, it's like, I like it. And I've got my Traeger, I've got my pits and sits, whatever. But sometimes I just want hot and fast. I just want to grill chicken. I just want to, they want that specialist tool in their arsenal.
Yep.
And the cool thing is that you no longer have to have 4 pieces to get all this done, right? I mean, you can have a pellet grill that can smoke, that can barbecue, that could bake, whatever, down from 160 up to 600, whatever you want. But then you can have your hot and fast griddle grill combo. So you're getting what used to take 4 pieces of equipment into 2, right? So you're saving a lot of real estate in the backyard. But yeah, so I'm really bullish on it.
So the thing I wanted to talk about here this evening from a news standpoint is recently I'd seen some social media posts about a new, like, fully interactive touchscreen for, which I'm assuming is for the pellet cooker. So give us a little deep dive into that. And I guess Why did it take so long to get here?
Well, so we've been working on this. I think the first iteration was maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And
Wow.
a lot of it, but you have to keep in mind, right? So at that time, we're talking touchscreen, black and white, and it's like almost looks like your Kindle type technology. And what would happen was that, so Roanoke makes our controllers. And so they're American made by a bunch of guys in Alabama. And the technology would just move so quickly. And like, as they would learn, it would basically, we were kind of like hitting our own wall of obsolescence every 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And so the way it progressed was that we finally ended up where we, and even at the last second, right, we're doing a touch screen and it's like, hey, I think we should do capacitive touch screen. It's going to look better in sunlight. And it's basically what your iPhone uses. So that was even a last minute change. But we tried to do it and just do it once and do it correctly and do it on a platform that can, you can scale up features and add-ons down the road, but then B, you can fix in the field. Because that was our big fear, was that these things are not cheap to build, so they're not cheap to sell. And for us, I mean, like, dude, like if we go sell 50 bad controllers, like that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
That's a total zoo. And so we tested them in house, broke a few of them, found some. We would find issues that we could replicate in Houston at the shop or my house that could not be replicated on a grill at the shop in Alabama or at someone else's home in Houston.
Wow.
So it was the weirdest thing. So like I could do it over and over and over and over. You could take it to someone's house 5 miles away. They couldn't get it to do it. So by, beating the crap out of these things for a year, and then going to a small beta test group, we were able to kind of work these things out before it became an issue. And now we're kind of in full on production and rolling it out. It's not a standard feature on our grills just yet. That's a two-part. There's kind of two parts there, and one is that it's still new technology. So we want to have control of how many of these are out there. And so if we need to out of stock it, we'll out of stock it while we kind of digest everything. But so far, man, feedback's been great. We've had a couple we've had to kind of like live update in the field. And again, it's the coolest part about having your team here in the US is that we're all on Slack, like, hey, do this. They can open up the back end, see what's going on, and push an update right away. But it's touchscreen, 4 probes, has graphing on it. We do not have a smart probe feature, meaning there's no one dominant probe at this point. They're all kind of coexistent, and that's just purely because we don't know that the code is there to be 100% accurate yet. But then also, like, if you don't know that and you plug in probe 4, but yet we've programmed probe 1 to be dominant, it just gets a little circular.
Yeah.
Of kind of who's in charge here. We have some pretty cool features like fan only. We have an auger, a timer, so you can run it for 30 seconds, a minute 30, 230. And that's so if you want to prime your grill, if you are cooking and you realize that you've run out of pellets and you want to push a bunch of pellets down to the burn pot right away to kind of catch back up. We have, you can actually go see what Wi-Fi signals your controller itself is picking up, so you can connect it that way, or you can connect to your phone, of course. We have programs, so you have our original Pits and Spits algorithm plus model-specific programs that you can change on the fly. You can actually go into the app and program your cook to change between those programs throughout the cook if you want.
Yep.
And you would do that if you wanted to have a 4-hour period at the beginning where you want more smoke, and then you want to say, look, I'm not worried about smoke anymore. I want steady temperatures. I want it to go switch automatically back to my most consistent program.
Yep.
And then we have things like we have a hard port on the back that for right now we're still working it out, but you can add lights to it. So if you wanted to have like running lights on your grill, like an LED strip, so they track, they change colors, all this stuff. We're working on how to mount those, and there's some wiring concerns. But what's cool about that is that port can be changed if we want to change it later to a weighted pellet sensor to tell you how many pellets are in your hopper. Or we're kind of looking at some vibration equipment that can go onto your hopper that shakes every 30 or 60 minutes to make sure that your pellets don't build up on the sides and that they fall down, that they funnel in.
Yep.
We also have an extra RTD port on the back that you could, in theory, switch between the two physically interchangeably. But if we get to the point where we say, look, we're going to put 2 RTDs in our pellet grill and tune it accordingly, we can do that. So, we wanted to release it one time and release it correctly so that we have the platform ready for the next 5 years.
Wow. And if I'm buying a pellet grill, is this something I would take as an add-on at this point and then hope I can get it?
Well, it is an add-on, so you would get it, but it's not we are right now projecting it to become standard January of 26.
Yeah. This is incredible. It opens you guys up to a whole new world of technology from a cooker standpoint. And I'm sure when you were getting into it, you probably never thought that you would be more of a technology company than just a bending steel and metal company.
Man, I remember when we started this trying to figure out like, where do you buy a controller from? Like we were calling Ortec and those guys didn't care.
Yeah, I bet.
But yeah, I mean, it's a huge leap for us. But like I said, we love working with the Roanoke guys. They make it really fun. They've got a dedicated guy on staff that, runs the app for us and can do updates. And they're super helpful, and they're not scared to like get their hands dirty and talk to. We have a lot of like IT customers, and if they got to talk to those guys directly, they'll do it. But they're really helpful. And I'm already thinking of like how, and I don't know the answer to this, so this is probably 2 or 3 years down the road, but like, well, how does this integrate? We have the opportunity to start working with some wireless meat probes that are American made. So how do we integrate that? And then if you're going to do that, well, then how does it start to integrate into your griddle, right? Or like your other products? Like it kind of opens up this whole new pathway into some pretty cool things that can be done. I just have to figure out how to do them and who's going to do them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's all exciting stuff. We got Ryan Zboril here from Pits and Spits. Pitsandspits.com is the website. Ryan, appreciate the update, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Cool. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
It's Ryan right there. Holy moly, that controller is doing a whole bunch and picking them up and taking them right into the leading edge of what's available on all the other cookers, maybe even more. You can have an LED light strip. It's a party in the backyard. You can cook your food. You have a little rock and roll show, a little EDM, maybe if that's your thing, BPM on Sirius XM. So we thank Ryan for sharing all that information. And we have a Steve Ray ready to go. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. So stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Ryan Zaboro for joining us last segment over at Pits and Spits. This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker. Most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Available in 3 sizes. A host of accessories to complete the Pit Barrel cooking experience. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or professional. It's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them Barbecue Central Show sent you. My next guest tonight is a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. He owns and operates Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and also owns the historic Steve Ray's Midnight Oil in Ooltewah, Tennessee, because I know how to say it. We welcome back our pal Steve Ray to the show. Steve, how are you, buddy?
Good job. Oh, no.
What am I looking at?
You're looking at a picture of Pete.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Pete.
It's Pete.
Thank God. Hey, Pete.
It's picked up the wrong camera.
Hey, Pete.
It picked up the wrong camera.
Nice.
Wow. That's all right. Well, we can hear
funny.
you.
Well,
that's all that matters. We can hear you.
Okay, that's all that matters. Yeah, that's all that matters.
We'll look at Jimmy and we'll talk to Steve. All right, so before we get going here, Steve, we have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, and it's simply this. Is banana pudding the best barbecue side, yes or no?
No.
No. Oh, wait, that's the wrong. 62% of the YouTube voting public is agreeing with you, Steve, saying no. I will disagree and say that it is the best barbecue side because banana pudding is the best thing ever in all barbecue
Apple pie,
restaurants
baked
or
beans.
anything. No, nothing. I mean, there's nothing even close. Apple pie, even the best apple pie is run of the mill. Did you say baked beans?
Apple pie baked beans.
Apple
you ever had
pie baked? No.
Oh, they're easy.
Like,
You
do you
get
just dump
two
an
big,
apple pie into baked beans?
No, you get 2 big cans of your favorite baked beans, and you put a can of apple pie filler in it, and then you cook them, and then you sprinkle some of David Bosca's bean magic dust he has. It's delicious.
Bean
delicious.
magic dust?
Mm-hmm.
That's really a thing?
Sure does. He's got three flavors.
Oh.
Smokehouse, bourbon, and old country or something like that.
I've never heard of
Comes in a pouch.
bean dust magic before. That's all right. Well, good. All right,
That's not what it's called.
We'll agree.
But
it's not?
It's not bean dust magic or magic dust. But it's something I forget. Baked bean. I don't know. I stare at them 8 hours a day. You'd think I'd know, wouldn't you?
Yes, this is not very good salesmanship. It's me like saying, well, a tire's a tire, whatever.
Well, I am a terrible salesman. I'm an order taker.
That's all right. We have only one thing to talk about tonight, Steve, and everybody thought they were Johnny on the spot late last week. And as recently as around lunchtime this morning with longest-running embedded correspondent of the show from Texas, Doug Scheiding, telling me what? Of course, that Joey Jaws Chestnut is returning back to the 4th of July, Nathan's famous world whatever hot dog eating contest. Thank God. But I told everybody that got in touch with me, I said, well, look, Ace, I know you think you are telling me something, but well over a week ago, myself and my pal Steve Ray had our fingers firmly on the pulse of what was going on in competitive eating. So the question to you is this: are you surprised, given everything that we have come to know and learn over the last almost 12 months, that Joey Chestnut finds himself back in Coney Island?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm surprised that they didn't work it out for last year, Greg. You talk about a marriage that needs each other. I talked with Pat Bertoletti just yesterday to get a response from him. That's Joey's probably best friend on that eating circuit. And he said he's known about this for 2 weeks. Huh. He just couldn't say anything, but he knew something was coming down the pike. And even Pat said, he basically said, when Joey's there, who's going to win. And when he's not there, it certainly makes it more uncertain who the winner is going to be. But when he is there, it's a better competition. So he gets it. And I think all those eaters get it. For the eyeballs to be on them, the eyeballs have got to be on Joey Chestnut.
Is it a better competition from what you can ascertain in those conversations from them that they know Joey's going to win, and this is let's call it a Michael Jordan phenomenon or a LeBron James phenomenon where they're the alpha, but they're forcing everybody to be better? In other words, if Joey isn't there, maybe Pat doesn't. He might win the event as he did last year, but he might not eat as many hot dogs as he did last year because Joey's not there motivating him.
I agree with that. I think they all those guys know that they're eating for second place. That's just the way it is. I mean, he had 76 the year before last. He said he told TMZ this year that he was going to drop the hammer from the first minute to the 10th minute, and he was going for 80. I think he had 83 against Kobayashi.
Yep.
Now that's a different kind of hot dog. That was a Walmart, the Great America hot dog and the Great America hot dog bun. So it was a different hot dog than the Nathan's and the Nathan's buns. So if he can, it's a little. I think the Nathan dog's a little bigger. So multiply that times 83, and even a quarter of an inch becomes several dozen hot dogs.
Do you think that you said this is a marriage that needs both? I will make this argument. I think Joey Chestnut is so big that if he decides, or if they couldn't have struck a deal to get back together from here on out, Joey would be just fine. And Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest would eventually wander off into obscurity and go away.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I wonder if ESPN had anything to do with this. They're under contract with them until 2029.
Oh,
and I wonder if they brought everybody up to Connecticut and closed the doors and said, "No, look, if you want to go beyond 2029, any hopes of that, you guys better work this out." Because Joey did, when it's all said and done, he did sign a 3-year contract with Nathan's Hot Dogs to promote Nathan's Hot Dogs.
any idea what that looks like from a financial standpoint?
No, my source didn't know the amount of money, but the fact that the fact that Joey came out and said, I don't know if you read his quote off his what he wrote on X. He goes, "I'm thrilled to be returning." Blah blah blah. He says, let's see, where is it?
Is it the one where he said Nathan's is the only hot dog?
Yeah, Nathan's is the only hot dog. It's my favorite hot dog.
Yeah.
I may have relationships with other brands, but I've always loved Nathan's hot dog. It was a great, one of the greatest mea culpas I've ever heard from a guy that's been brought back to the fold. I guess they probably told him, "Say, look, you need to go out there and make us look good, and we'll make you look good."
I think my thought is they're in the room, they're talking about money, because this is all this is really coming down to. And Absolutely. They said, if you want this amount, then you're going to have to do this for us. I don't think Joey Chestnut gives one shit about Nathan's famous hot dog or Ballpark Franks or Sabrett, or you throw the name of the Schween around. I don't think he cares, as long as there might be a payday in it for him. And if they said, well, if you want us to give you this kind of money, then you're going to have to give us this kind of lip service when it counts, and maybe even when we ask. And a 3-year contract brings you right up to that 2029 arena that you're talking about, or could it then extend on, right. Of course. But I would, you know me, I love to talk about money and business and how these deals come together. So I would love to know what a guy like Joey Chestnut can even get on a 3-year contract. I'm assuming it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And obviously he's then locked in to Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest for the next 3 years. What I'm interested to know is if somebody decided to come up and challenge him one-on-one outside of the July 4th arena, is he able to put on some kind of a Netflix contest like he did with Kobayashi, which was, as we both agreed last year, easily the best hot dog eating event of recent memory. and very
Fantastic,
dramatic,
yeah.
very well done, and seemed to be very realistic from start to finish with a little, weird vignettes there up at the front to kind of lead into the main event. But I would love for him to be open to then take on. I'm always a little leery of contracts and eaters, and if that potentially handcuffs them in any way from a money-making standpoint, but I figure at this point, Joey Chestnut is the name in competitive eating, and he would more or less rule the roost of negotiation versus the other way around.
Yeah, you would think that he left himself open for another TV event because that was a big money event, big payday for him. You're talking about Kobayashi. Obviously, he's a has been. Joey
Easily.
creamed him. He killed him.
Yeah.
Probably James Webb from Australia. He's kind of the, I guess, the Joey Chestnut in waiting, a younger guy who's been making a lot of noise on that eating circuit. He's probably the guy to watch. Of course, Pat Bertoletti's ranked number 2, but this James Webb guy is really good. If it was something like James Webb beats Joey Chestnut on the 4th of July, that would set up the perfect Labor Day, sort of like a Frazier Ali rematch.
Yeah.
Let's do it 3 times, something like that.
Any other
which, could be in the cards.
Any other competitive food news that you're hearing about?
No, Joey Chestnut was in Knoxville. I couldn't get it up there this year, but I sent one of my friends up there to interview him, and my buddy said that he was really, really nice. Was glad to talk to him, and he said he could tell that he really wanted in. He wanted to be back in at Coney Island. So I'd say when he was in Knoxville, probably the rumblings of a conversation were probably already started.
I would assume to a large degree, Joey does like Nathan's Famous, because if he's got half of a PR mind working in that head, all sorts of new eyeballs see him every 4th of July. Certainly there's a lot of the old guard that know about Joey. They know about this food eating contest. But then every year there has to be a load of fresh eyeballs that are just finding out about competitive eating, or they're hearing about this hot dog eating contest that's going to be taking place in Coney Island. And then the legend of Joey Chestnut, of course, must come up from parents or friends, neighbors, what have you. And now here he is on television. You watch him for 10 minutes and you see the horrendous amount of hot dogs that he's putting down his gullet inside of 10 minutes. And a new fan base is born. So I assume that he does appreciate the TV time that he gets on the 4th of July versus any other eating contest that he does, which he does a lot during the course of the year. Yeah,
and you get a guy like James Webb, he might get some eyeballs from Australia, as Kobayashi does from Japan. Nathan's is a funny company. It's not the Smithfield makes the hot dogs for them, but they don't own the company. And, their stock is traded. I'm going to go a little Wes Rucker on you, or Wes from Cookout News on you. Nathan's Hot Dogs is trading at about $111 a share. It doubled since last year. And it's gone up $11 a share in the last 6 weeks. And they just announced
trading over $100 a share?
$111 a share. And it doubled from this time last year to this time last year. It was at $50.
Wow.
So it's doubled. And they just announced a 50 cent a share dividend. So and it went up about 48 cents today. I watched it. So I was thinking, I was wondering if it was going to get a bump from this news. It didn't really get a bump, but it's a strong company. And the Yahoo Finance has got a buy on it to they're expected to go to 130. So I mean that's wow. Pretty good for a hot dog company.
Yeah,
no
doubt.
Nathan's.
No doubt.
Yeah.
What's
so
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, they get a kick. They get every 4th of July every year they get an hour of advertising that you just can't You can't beat it. Everybody's got those stupid hats on. They got the shirts on. And George Shea, it was funny. This time last year, just a little bit before this time, I was watching the show, and I had George Shea scheduled to be on my show the next week.
Yeah.
And then your question on YouTube was, are you surprised Joey Chestnut has been banned? And I said, what? I hadn't heard that yet. So I ran to the computer and looked. I went, holy crap. And then the next morning I called George Shea back at Major League Eating, and the secretary goes, he won't be on the show. Sorry. I mean, just blew me off. And because George Shea is the guy that wears the straw hat. He's one of the best. He's one of the best hucksters in the business. His introductions are legendary. And you just wait till this 4th of July. Joey they'll be bringing him in on the Hebrew sled, I guarantee you.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What's moving good in the stores here as we're getting into the teeth of summer?
I was really afraid for Green Mountain Grills right now, but man, they are moving good. We sold one Saturday, got more in, and doing a lot better than I thought it was going to do. Greg, I thought the price controls were going to really affect it, so I've jumped in and bought a bunch before the increase. Then I found out that the increase wasn't much at all, which was good. Yeah. And people are still. It seems like there's a new round. The charcoal grills are really getting a lot of noise. Napoleon, I've got their kettle there. People going back to charcoal. And I showed you pictures. You saw who in the Arby's commercial. You saw whose smoker that was.
Yeah, Aaron Franklin's barbecue pit right there in the back.
I couldn't believe it. So I think charcoal's the next big thing. And I hope it is. I like cooking on it.
Do you think the ranch kettle is going to have a moment?
I've never even seen a ranch kettle. Is that they still make it?
Yeah, I guess.
Do they still make? I've never.
Yeah, sure.
That's so big. I mean, a kettle. I mean, who could control a kettle that big?
Tuffy Stone has some videos out of I'm going to call it Baby Blue. It was made maybe special for him, or maybe it was a color that they used to do regularly, and now it's special edition. Whatever the case is, he's got a brand new Baby Blue ranch kettle, and he said it's his favorite. The guy I'm having on at 10:14 tonight, Chris Prieto at Prime BBQ in North Carolina, says that's his favorite cooker is the ranch kettle, and he cooks on it all the time at home. I mean, you can feed an army on it.
I went to Donnie Bray's barbecue school with Chris. He's a nice guy.
Oh yeah,
he's a real nice guy. Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, I met him. Is right. It wasn't too long after he was on Barbecue Pitmasters. He was a real nice kid. Real nice kid.
Yeah, he's got a lot of barbecue history and knowledge. So great to see him succeeding on the restaurant side of things.
Yeah, I'd like to see a ranch kettle. How much? They're pretty expensive though, aren't they?
Oh, for a kettle cooker, yeah, of course. I mean, hundreds of dollars, if not $1,000.
Yeah. It might be fun to kind of
you can cook. John Solberg says one of his favorite things to cook on.
Well, with Blackstone and Weber joining forces, I'm a Blackstone dealer now, and we're real excited about that. Maybe the Webers will be available to us. Who knows?
Yeah, we'll see.
How cool would that be?
You can be the Ooltewah ranch kettle dealer that nobody else can seem to land. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that. Steve Ray joining us here on the show, talking about Joey Chestnut getting his way back into the 4th of July, Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. Steve, always appreciate the time, and we will talk to you again soon.
All right, tell Pete goodbye.
I will. Bye, Pete. Thanks for sitting in Steve's visual absence, but Steve was ever present there in his audio ability, so we certainly appreciate that. Pete, what a character. Hey, Primo grills are great and awesome, and everybody should have one. And if you don't have one, what are you waiting for? Go to a dealer near you, because they're only sold through dealers. The ceramic benefits that you love. Fuel efficient. Got a lot of accessories. I just love using mine. Use it with the heat deflectors. Use it without the heat deflectors. Use it with the Fireboard draft fan. Use it without the Fireboard draft fan. Doesn't matter. Very easy to lock in on temperature. Very easy to negotiate up or down. It's all fun stuff. PrimoGrill.com is the place to go. Let me stop these because I'm going to run out of time in the first hour. Thought I was being cute, Steve, but not cute enough. So visit the website, PrimoGrill.com. Follow them on Facebook. Follow them on Instagram as well. We'll be back to wrap out the first hour right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rampey.
And we thank Steve Ray from Owl's Nest Barbecue, owlsnestbbq.com, the website. Or visit the ever-famous Steve Ray's Midnight Oil for a fill-up or quick service on your automobile. Have them check your buddy bearings on your competition trailers. Why not? We did a segment on that years ago. One of the most downloaded segments of my show ever. Competition trailer tire maintenance and axle maintenance, of course. Good old Steve Ray. All right, that brings a close to the first hour. If you missed it, don't worry. We are recording. Our first hour tomorrow, Wednesday, and second hour will be on Thursday. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about only the most important barbecue and grilling items of the day. This show originating from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on this show tonight, Chris Prieto from Prime BBQ closing out the show. Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly. So you can look forward to that. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You go to facebook.com/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch on YouTube, which is youtube.com/@BBQ Central Show. We have a new YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody, including all guests, which is this. Is banana pudding the best barbecue side? And currently 67% of you are saying no. Bad news, 67% of you are wrong, because banana pudding is the best barbecue side. And as I said in the first hour, easily, by far, light years ahead of any other barbecue dessert, to say the least. That's me talking. So it is the best barbecue side. It is the best barbecue dessert. Put that together. If you're mediocre, or if your barbecue is mediocre and your banana pudding is stellar, if that's the thing I'm talking about coming out of your restaurant, I'm coming back to your restaurant and just getting the banana pudding. I'm that guy. You want any meat with that? No, your shit sucks. I will take 7 banana puddings to go, because those are delicious. That's the best thing on the menu. Like you don't want to see that. If you're a restaurateur, I don't think you want to see the best thing on the half-star review on the Yelpers or the Googles. Best thing on the menu was the banana pudding. Now, as a reader of reviews, if I see that, I'm going, that gets me there. I'm not going to be like, oh, If they're leading with the best thing on the menu is the dessert, then I'm not going. I will take a different approach. If it says the best thing on the menu was the banana pudding, what's the name of that place? And I'm going there tomorrow. That is a urgent carrier of me to any food establishment. Best thing on the menu is the banana pudding. By the way, I believe Ryan Zaboral of Pitch and Spit said that a good banana pudding should taste like fake bananas. Ryan, you're wrong. It should not taste like... It should not.
Andrew,
It should not taste like fake banana. The best banana puddings taste like banana with the vanilla custard. Oh, it's light. Vanilla wafers. Oh, I wish I had 8 gallons of Leo Batello's banana pudding right now. It's the best I've ever had. Anyway, 67% of you are saying no, banana pudding, not the best barbecue side. Don't forget, coming up this coming Friday, we have a new episode of the Best Moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less. And if you can believe it, it will be episode 389. Holy moly. 11 episodes, ever so close, approaching 400 episodes of just that podcast alone. And then add that to the, 17 or 1,800 shows that I've done on Barbecue Central. 18 plus 4 is, so we're well over 2,000 episodes in totality between the two shows. Nothing else touches us. You can subscribe to this show or the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this coming by visiting the website, thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. And if you would like to hear a guest or a segment again that you think has been lost in what is now the extensive archives of the show, you can email John and let him know what you would like to hear. And his email address is John, Jon, Jon, at thebbqcentralshow.com. And he'll do his best to meet your expectation. So 2 things. Here's what's happening. I'm not bragging, but this is what's happening this weekend for me. Finally, after, I got to know this guy through social media channels. No, it's even longer than that. It's been a one-sided relationship, I think, since 1997. Let me write that down. And then when I lived in Wickliffe, Ohio, and I've lived here in Willoughby, which I believe coming up this summer now will be 7 years? It could be 7 years. All right, so let's quickly do the math here. 1997, so let's add 3 to that. That's 2000. And we're currently in 2025. It appears that I have known about this person for 27 years. Is that right? That can't be right. No. 28 years. Yes. And we have had, so that's it. So for 28 years, it's been a one-way relationship of knowing. Okay, that's part A. Part B, 7, 8, 9 years, let's say 10 maybe. 10 years of that 28 years has also been a two-way relationship where we have transacted with each other through social media. Originally, it was, I think, an Instagram direct message asking about something barbecue-related. Of course, I knew who he was immediately, and I was very excited to interact with him because of the, the other reason that I knew of him, but had no idea he was such a big barbecue guy. So that really galvanized our relationship, was his obvious love and passion for barbecue and grilling. And then what also finalized the galvanization is what he had done for a living and what I had listened to for all those years. What I'm getting to is this, folks.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news across the country, nay, the globe. This coming Friday, I will be meeting in person as he is traveling to this here Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city and barbecue capital of the North Coast. One executive producer of the Howard Stern Show, Jason Kaplan. We have a whole date set up Friday late afternoon into the evening and then well into the night, where we will be gallivanting across the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city. We will be taking in some of the finest barbecue eating establishments. We will be taking in a concert from a group that I have no idea who they are, aside from playlists that Jason has sent me to gear me up. He's a huge fan. If you know anything about the Howard Stern Show and Jason Kaplan especially, he is a rare devotee to a band called Goose, which I believe is akin to something like a band called Phish, Phish, which of course a lot of people say is an offshoot of the traditional or the original jam band, the Grateful Dead. Aside from one song, I couldn't name a Grateful Dead song. Who cares? I can tell you this, I can't name one Phish song. And while I can't name any Goose songs, I can't name any Goose songs, I have heard Goose songs. Ooh, yes. This is nice. So I am ready to jam out for what I heard. Like, you know, when I go to concerts, they're like 2 hours long, maybe 2.5 hours long. Of course, the last handful of concerts I went to, Harry Styles with Marley, and preceding that, Ariana Grande with Marley as well. If I'm giving my 2 cents, Ariana Grande better than Harry Styles, although Marley would disagree. But she wants to marry Harry Styles too, but that's not happening, unfortunately. I've heard that Goose could play up to 4 hours. So I will just be over the moon excited to be spending real life time with a guy who I have known about and followed for 28 years of his professional career on the Howard Stern Show. And now these last 7 to 10 years actually being in a digital friendship. That sounds weird to say. But I consider Jason to be one of my closest friends. We're texting all the time, talking about a bunch of other stuff in life. So to spend time with him this coming weekend is pumping me up. Then he's coming over Saturday to the compound. I'm flying him in via helicopter from downtown. We're going to be making barbecue dinners here at the house. And who knows what decadence and debauchery is going to be going on after that. Nonsense, for sure. Then he goes back home Sunday morning. It's going to be great. Full recap coming next Tuesday. All right, Chris Prieto is ready to go in the green room. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. Before we do that, I'm talking to you about Big Papa Smokers because they're celebrating 15 years of helping both backyard hacks like me and the most elite competition pro bring home the grand championship. Whether you're prepping for the next big comp or firing up the grill for spring or summer, Big Papa's award-winning rubs like Sweet Money, competition brisket and steak, cash cow, cattle prod, all have the bold flavors to take your barbecue to the next level. And for limited time, they have brought back a fan favorite. Can you say cucaracha? I knew you could. The extra kick you've been craving is now back, so buy it while it's here. Barbecue Central Show listeners and viewers, this one's for you. You can use promo code BBQ Central 25 altogether, BBQ Central 25 to check out for free shipping now through June 30th. So you have less than 2 weeks to get in on this and save real-ass cash. Visit BigPapaSmokers.com and stock up now. Use promo code BBQ Central and then the numerals 2 and 5. BBQ Central 25 for free ground shipping. Some exclusions apply, but I do know if you buy all that rub, no exclusions apply on that free shipping. BBQ Central 25. We're back with Prime BBQ right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we welcome you back. This portion of the show being brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. Step into the world of McAuliffe Cigars, where each blend is a chapter and a grand tale of craftsmanship and passion. The portfolio is a symphony of flavors, each note carefully composed to create an unforgettable Nicaraguan smoking experience. McAuliffeCigars.com is the website, MICALLEF, McAuliffeCigars.com, and then use the locator to find a retailer near you. Kicking it off here in the second hour is a well-established, accomplished, and winning competition pitmaster. He is also a well-established and award-winning barbecue restaurateur. If you are North Carolina driven, you've probably already heard of him. If you know anything about restaurants in general across these nifty 50, you've probably heard of him, and he is a first-time guest on this show. We are welcoming in Chris Prieto of Prime BBQ. Chris, appreciate you coming on the show here this evening. We have a YouTube poll question of the week that we're asking everybody before we get going here tonight, which is this, and the answer is yes or no. Is banana pudding the best barbecue side?
No.
Oh, 64% of the YouTube voting public is saying that banana pudding is not the best barbecue side. Maybe I was a little ambitious with the wording of this question, but I love banana pudding so much, and it is so much a staple of my barbecue restaurant evaluation life and eating life that I thought that it just had to be up there. Plus, I've had the best banana pudding to date over at Truth Barbecue out there in Houston. And
banana pudding, yeah.
Yeah. Do you make banana pudding at the restaurant?
We do. It's a staple in barbecue restaurants. You know, you have to have a very well-established, in my opinion, scratch-made banana pudding. I don't like my bananas in slices. I like them chopped up. And we use a Biscoff cookie of vanilla, your traditional vanilla wafer.
Mm-hmm. Did you start originally with a vanilla wafer, or did you elevate right off the bat?
So we started with a vanilla wafer. Making the custard from scratch was key for sure, because we're in North Carolina and that's the #1 dessert in the state. I actually the vanilla wafers to a catering, and I sent one of my guys to go grab a cookie. They were out of vanilla wafers. I said, grab whatever cookie he thinks best. He grabbed scoffs. And then we did that dessert. This was a repeat catering, and the customer came up to me and said, "You're an absolute genius. You're always leveling it up." And I was like, "You're welcome." So it's just by happenstance, and I tried it, and I thought, you know, that little bit of those notes that the cookie establishes, and they're made in Raleigh too, by the way. The Biscoff is made, the factory's in Raleigh, so it's a local cookie, and you know, it just works really well. So it's a really, really funny, happy mistake.
I figured the guy went right from the supermarket to the nearest regional airport and scoured through all the airplanes and stole all the Biscoff cookies. I didn't know you could buy a Biscoff cookie like you could a Cheez-It.
Yeah, it's actually one of the top-selling cookies in Walmart. So, do you know the top-selling item in Walmart?
Toilet paper?
That's actually what everyone guesses. It's actually bananas.
Is it really?
It is. Number one purchased item at Walmart for like the past 20 years.
Wow, that's the number one purchased item. All right, so today was worthwhile. I've learned something new today, that bananas are the number one item purchased at Walmart. All right, Chris, so let's dial it all the way back. And when we were sound checking yesterday, you hit me with some shit that absolutely floored me, and it was just very casual, very offhand, that you have been a listener of the Barbecue Central show, not for just some time, not for just a long time, but all the way from the very beginning back in 2006 when the show was originally a podcast doing barbecue roundtables, eventually 2 years later graduating into the live show. You've been here for the full ride right from the beginning.
Yeah, my career has come full circle tonight. speaking with you and being on this show. It's something we actually, Nelson Caldwell and I is a competitor I would travel with of Old Dominion Smokehouse. We would actually burn your episodes on DVDs and listen to them on the way to the contests. And then while in the contest trailer, right before we would go to bed, we would listen to the DVDs again. And, you were the only one just talking about barbecue, talking about our lifestyle. So it was just a really cool thing to just hear you talk about it. And, I've been following you since I was a kid, and, here we are talking about it today. So it's definitely an exciting moment.
When do you get introduced to barbecue? Is it something you grow up around and it's just part of the family, or do you get into it a little later? I mean, you said you've been listening to me since I'm a kid. So, I mean, it couldn't have been too much later, but how does it happen, I guess?
Sure. My parents immigrated from Puerto Rico. My dad was getting his PhD at Texas A&M. So I was born in Bryan, Texas. Then we moved when I was 3 to a very small one-cow town outside of Houston called Richmond, Rosenberg area. Richmond was the town. And every small Texas town has a local barbecue restaurant. And my father would take us there. And, it was just a cuisine he hadn't had before in Puerto Rico. And we loved it. And being Texan, it's part of your history to eat barbecue, tacos, kolaches, you name it. And we got our grill actually in 1995. Started grilling together. Really, it was just a hobby because, that's just the Texas way. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo would always go in town. As a kid, I would travel around. The most fascinating part was the barbecue competition side of things. As a kid, the competitors let me on their trailers. I would look in their pits. They did all kinds of crazy cool stuff. And I was just fascinated with the craft, to be honest. It was such an impactful food to me. Right away. My first bite, I was in love. There was no turning back. And my life was just replicating that moment over and over again. It really didn't get super serious till I started growing up, and I knew I wanted to be in barbecue in some capacity. I wanted to either work in a barbecue restaurant or own a barbecue restaurant. I just was fascinated with the craft. I mean, it's a cultivated culinary masterpiece that you can create through fire, and that just was so magical to me, and it just worked well with my brain. I really loved playing with fire as a kid, so it kind of worked out. And it just grew from there. It grew stronger and stronger through high school. And then in high school, we actually had to move. My dad was in oil and gas, and for a short period we had to move right at the end of high school to Jacksonville, Florida. So that's where I finished off high school. Went to college in Tampa, Florida, St. Leo University. And while I was there, I have always cooked a lot the whole time. I was really into, in college, wanting to open a barbecue restaurant. And that was kind of a passion of mine. When I shifted gears and my parents moved to Raleigh, North Carolina, I moved up here with them to finish school in East Carolina University. And then I, bought my own grills, put them in the backyard, really started dialing in what I wanted to achieve, because I saw on, I grew up without the internet. So when I wanted to learn barbecue, it was you just had to be terrible, to be honest.
When you're talking about buying your own grills and getting your own place, just for a timeline perspective, what years are we talking about here?
Let's see, 2001, 2002. Is when I really started getting a glimpse into competition barbecue, and I wanted to get my own smoker and really start practicing to be a professional cook.
How are you finding out about how to do it? Like, how do you find out about the first competition?
Well, actually, it's quite funny. There wasn't a lot of content out there. There was a barbecue forum. There's all kinds of barbecue forums back in there. There's the barbecue forum. So I would read through that. And really, Stephen Reichland's and stuff like that, they were putting out the barbecue content. So, you're following along the path of their recipes, not getting too much. Competition barbecue is so much different than just cooking in the backyard.
Yeah.
And my first contest was 2004 in Lumberton, North Carolina. And I truly realized I was in the wrong place. I was in the right place with my people, but I was in the wrong place, as in I wasn't yet qualified to be at this caliber. That was the first time I ever laid my eyes on a Lang 60 reverse flow with the curved sides, not these flat ones they make now. I laid eyes on a Jambo J3 with smoking triggers. I saw a Jed Master butt rub cooked on, if you've ever seen. And I think the only Jed Master, I'm pretty sure he has it, but Chris Lilly still cooks on his Jed Master.
Yeah, so does John Marcus, the TV producer. He still has a classic Jed Master that he uses. Yep.
Yeah, that is the one cooker I've yet to own, and I'm after. I was just searching last month so if there's anyone out there with the Jed Master for sale, hit me up for sure. Let's do business.
So how do you find out about competitions?
So on the barbecue forum, I started seeing people talk about, being in a KCBS competition. And I would just ask, what is KCBS? They said Kansas City Barbecue Society. Then I started watching them like turn in boxes, what they were doing. And I was just really fascinated. Barbecue community is really special. They love talking about barbecue, elevating each. And I just asked a lot of questions. How do I enter? People answered every question I ever had, and it would be midnight, and I could be talking barbecue on the forum, and they would answer within seconds because everyone was on the barbecue forums. So I found out how to sign up, and I turned in my entry form for Lumberton, and off to the races. My first rep kind of explained a lot more to me than I thought, than I assumed what I was looking at doing. So with garnishing a box, doing meat checks, I had I believe at that time KCBS had some type of printable rules and regulations. So I would just read those. And I bought chef jackets. I named the team Buccaneers Better BQ. I have no idea why. Please don't ask. But I found a wingding on Word, and it was a ship. And I was reading a barbecue history cookbook talking about Buccaneers smoking meats, and it's a pretty dumb name now that I think about it. But I still have the banner in my pit room restaurant, the original banner that I got for free for like answering a survey online. So they made me a free banner.
How did that first competition work out?
It was pretty terrible, to be honest. I actually love showing barbecue people when they come to my house my first turn-in boxes, because I had no clue what I was doing. I thought the burn ends, I just cut up a bunch of flat into chunks and just served that. I was cooking flats. I was doing a mop, a Jim Good mop. So it was Good's Barbecue out of Houston, Texas. They had a mop recipe they were well known for, so I did the Jim Good mop, and it was terrible and very dry. I did it on modified char grillers and a Brinkman that was an electrical Brinkman that we got in the 90s. And I plugged the hole with a piece of foil because I was told we couldn't plug in the element. And actually won 6th place chicken on that. The sauce consisted of raspberry, walnut, Kins dressing, honey, and ketchup.
Wow.
It's pretty terrible.
Yeah, but what do you know, right? I mean, especially back then, you're just, I would imagine competitions back then, you were probably rewarded for being a little bit more daring, or as Daniel Vaughn would say, especially on this show, being a little bit more courageous, where nowadays, like you can't venture outside of the vanilla box without getting smacked.
That's right. I mean, back then I was just so passionate about barbecue. I just wanted to be around my people, my village, and talk barbecue. I mean, just the energy there, just from a standpoint, was electric. And the people I was meeting are legends now. I mean, Tuffy was there, Bad Brian was there, Smoking Triggers was there. It was unbelievable, and they were so nice to kind of show me around. I wasn't even 21 yet, so I was just a kid.
Wow.
I was 19, 20. somewhere in that Delta when I, did my first contest. So I couldn't even drink. And I was out there with my chef coat, just wanting to learn as much as possible. And, I remember being the only one to raise my hand during the cooks meeting as being the first time cook, and every competitor coming up to me saying, "Hey, come by my tent. I'll give you some pointers. Hey, if you need help trimming." One of the guys showed me how to demembrane ribs with a paper towel. I've never seen that before. So I was like, this guy's a magician, So it's just, it was fantastic. I'll never forget that day. I still have the $25 check that I won framed. I never cashed it. I loved it so much. I was so excited and proud. And that's what started the engine, really. I mean, all I did every single weekend from there on was save my money for the next contest, practice as much as I could, write as much form as I could to try to get, what are people injecting with? How are boxes looking? What's going on? And little by little, being absolutely horrific, I started to get better and better. Just, like barbecue, everyone starts off bad. I've never known anyone that just spontaneously creates great barbecue. It's all done with the reps, understanding the thermal dynamics of your pit, understanding flavor profiles and how they work with the judges. All those things really matter in competition barbecue back in the day.
Did you realize, right along that the end goal was going to be opening up a barbecue restaurant at some point, or did you have by X age, I'm going to be in a brick and mortar barbecue restaurant?
Yeah, it's always been the goal. I drew the restaurant that I'm actually in right now at that age. I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve, and I just had to frame it, put it on paper, and say, every stick I put on my fire is for this. This is the output. Every decision I make, just like we do in barbecue, it's not the best brisket seasoned with the best seasoning. It's really maintaining a very consistent fire. And that output is the broken down perfect collagen of that piece of meat through that consistency. And I did have a goal of being a restaurateur when I was 30. I said 30 years old. By the time I'm 30, I want to be a very successful restaurateur. And if my 30-year-old self was sitting in this room right now, I'd slap him and say, "You're not ready. You have a lot more to learn." So I was 36 when I opened Prime. And next week I turn 42.
You surprised you've made it, or is this all part of the plan?
No. I'm not surprised I made it. I mean, a lot of success is based on preparation, meaning timing, and I really believe all the due diligence I put in with my, having the right mentors that spoke into my personal life, my spiritual life, my barbecue life, and being a good, strong restaurateur mattered. I took it seriously. Every single day I studied it. I wanted day one to be a success. And, to do that, you got to put in the time. You got to put in the time and the reps, and a lot of studying. I took mentoring as a very serious thing. If I would meet someone very successful in the business and we became good friends, I would, make sure that relationship had fruit going both ways. And, I opened May of 2020. So the circumstance is never going to be perfect to open a barbecue restaurant, but I knew a lot of things in the algorithm of how barbecue restaurants work. I couldn't go small to big. I had to start off big, meaning I went from catering company. I was traveling and doing TV shows and writing cookbooks and doing those things and competition barbecue stuff straight into the restaurant because I had the knowledge and framework to, establish that. In this business, you have to make a big splash. You have to be immediately recognized. And, my time of diversifying my portfolio prior to opening that restaurant, I couldn't go in cold. I did Barbecue Pitmasters. I did a couple different other TV shows with Chopped and Man Fired Food and some barbecue documentaries. And I wrote a cookbook, and I traveled the country teaching barbecue and being an influencer and really taking the time to see what other restaurants are doing out there. And, that I did all that before opening the restaurant. That's what I recommend to a lot of restaurateurs now.
Chris, we're out of time, and we could go on for hours, undoubtedly. So I'm going to quickly send you a link to rebook so we can talk about getting into the actual restaurant business and what that looks like.
Sure.
And I'm sure we got segments plenty down the road here, but absolute knockout first time here on the show. Appreciate you coming in. And again, really appreciate the kind words that you were talking about last night, and how long you've been kind of listening and a fan of the show. Really means a lot to me. So continued success, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you so much for having me on, Greg. Truly an honor.
You got it. Chris Prieto right there of Prime BBQ. He's got to be the longest time fan ever. I used to think it was Phil White up until yesterday when Chris hit me with, I've been listening since 2006, original podcasting. We were burning the shows to DVDs and taking them to competitions and listening to them as we were falling asleep. I think that's the longest fan, besides my mom's and my dad's. Appreciate you, Chris. All right, are you tired of diets that make you choose between good food and real results? Well, you don't have to anymore. David McDowell has cracked the code. His personalized fat loss coaching for barbecue lovers lets you eat the food you love, like ribs, brisket, wings, and still lose weight. Get lean, feel amazing. Now, this isn't a fad. It's a proven strategy that includes barbecue-friendly meal plans, tailored health strategies, and weekly check-ins. So you're never guessing, never alone, never forced to give up what you love. And if you want to be part of something bigger, to surround yourself with like-minded barbecue lovers who are dropping weight, getting stronger, staying motivated, then online, the diet group is where you need to be. Here's the deal. You can keep struggling on your own, or you can plug into a system that works. Join now, get exclusive access, expert coaching, real-world strategies, and a support crew that won't let you fail. Go to school.com/BBQ. That's S-K-O-O-L, school, SKOOL.com/BBQ right now. And take the first step, because you can have barbecue and your dream bod too. You got to take action. No finer example than your humble hosts on week 14 now. Getting ready to run a 5K this coming weekend in the 50 and over category. What is the 50 and over category? Is that every other age past 50? Am I going to be 80-year-olds? Are they in there? Is there 65 and forever? All will be told on Saturday down at Edgewater Park. I can tell you that. We're back with Daniel Vaughn right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Chris Prieto for joining me last segment from Prime BBQ, prime-bbq.com, his website. Helping me close the show tonight, making his second appearance in the year of 2025, is the barbecue editor for Texas Monthly Magazine. Let's race to the hotline and welcome in our pal Daniel Vaughn. DV, there he is. YouTube poll question of the week.
How's it going?
Absolutely great, of course. What could be bad about a Tuesday night in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city? Getting into the teeth of summer, maybe. I mean, I don't even know if it's been 80 degrees yet, but it might get there someday here this summer, this year. YouTube poll question of the week, and we're asking everybody this, including all guests. Is banana pudding the best barbecue side? Yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Yes. All right. That has been hotly debated here tonight. By the way, 62% of the YouTube voting public is saying no. It's not the best barbecue side,
Well,
because
I say it because if you let if the barbecue joint lets you order the banana pudding as a side, that's bonus points right there.
Yeah.
Like they're not making you order it as separately as a dessert, right? So yeah, you get a little dessert with the meal. Like it feels like a bonus.
So I'm completely 100%ly with you on everything you've just said. And then if we're going to say, okay, well, banana pudding isn't a side, it's a dessert, then banana pudding is here. Like, you can't even see my hand. This is how good it is. And then everything else is here, down here where you can't see my hand. It is such a drastic delta between whatever the next best barbecue dessert is. Now, if it's not good, I guess whatever. But I couldn't even think of a better barbecue dessert than banana pudding. And would you say if that can hurt an overall rating of you could be at a magnificent barbecue restaurant, and if it's a crap or average banana pudding, or heaven forbid, no banana pudding at all, that's something that would stick in your mind?
Yeah, like a terrible banana pudding certainly would, especially that one that's got like the really brown bananas. It's obvious it was made 5 or 6 days ago, and like they don't even come out in a chunk anymore. They just kind of string out of there as you take your spoon out of the pudding. Yeah, that could certainly make a difference.
Believe it or not, about 3 weeks ago or so, a Texas Monthly releases its latest round of best of barbecue restaurants, 50 best. So you name the 10, and then all the other ones just kind of get cattle called into a mention without necessarily a number. Was it new this year to say also we have something else in addition to the top 50?
No, so we do it every 4 years, and it does change up. It often changes up, but last time around, we did a ranked top 10, and then we did 40 more in our top 50, and then we had 50 more honorable mentions.
Okay.
And so, yeah, this was the same format, back-to-back lists.
I'm not going to ask the painfully stupid, obvious question of what does being number one do if you're on Texas Monthly's top barbecue list. But I will ask this. If you are in the 50 honorable mentions, how much help is that for a business versus the obvious being number one and catapulting you to cataclysmic fame overnight?
Yeah, I think so much of it has to do with just that particular restaurant's reputation already. So there's different ways that different barbecue joints view being in the honorable mentions. Of course, those that came out of the top 50 and are now in the honorable mentions, they see that some as a slight. Those that are brand new and have not been on any of our lists see that honorable mention as like they feel honored by it, right? And those are the places that are going to benefit a lot more, those ones that aren't a known quantity yet. So, if you're already a really well-known barbecue joint, like say a Killen's Barbecue in Pearland, being an honorable mention isn't really going to change much of anything about your business. It's already established, it's already popular. But a place like Weaver's Barbecue in Dayton, a little food truck that wrote about shortly before the list came out, but a lot of people still hadn't heard about that place. And so that being put on your list there, we have a passport for the top 50, and people can go to each of the 50 and get their stamp. But I've already seen people on Facebook and elsewhere say that they're starting their passport, their own like DIY passport with the honorable mentions. Unfortunately, we've already lost one of them. Literally the day that the top 50 came out, one of the honorable mentions, Moots Barbecue in Winnie, down in Southeast Texas, announced that they were closing the restaurant and we're just going to be catering only. And I certainly don't think it was related. I don't think not making the top 50 turned into like a rash decision the day of to close down. But yeah,
I figure that would be the day you hang on. You make any list on Texas Monthly that has your name on it, you would want to ride it out for a couple weeks and see if it helps spike business.
Well, yeah, and I think the other thing that we've seen, especially when we release it when we want to, which is right around now. Last time, because of COVID, we had to release it a little late. It was in November. It wasn't really barbecue season, but we released it right after Memorial Day. barbecue road trips are still in high season.
Mm.
And I think it gets people juiced up and excited about barbecue. And so I've heard from other barbecue joints that aren't in the top 50 that it's really just increased business because, they're, the people who read about barbecue or hearing about barbecue all the time, all of a sudden interested in like, let's get out to my local joint.
For the new folks that are here, let's not spend a terrible amount of time, but what's the thumbnail sketch of how the list is actually generated and then pushed out?
Yeah, well, every 4 years we get a team together at Texas Monthly, and this time around it was 25 people plus me. And I give them a tutorial on what exactly we're looking for the top 50 criteria. We all meet together. I go over, I go over everything that they should be looking for while they're out on the road. And they've got about 4 months to complete their, say, 12 or 15 different barbecue joint visits and come back with a score sheet based on the brisket, the ribs, the sausage, the turkey, the barbecue, right? And other things are included on that score sheet, but it really comes down to the barbecue. And we compile all those scores, and then at the beginning of the year, I get all of those and then do all the legwork required to check up on places that have a surprisingly high or surprisingly low score, or just those places I think have potential for top 10. And I think in a 2-month period, I went to over 100 barbecue joints from the beginning of January to the beginning of March to really finalize the list.
How many miles is that from a travel standpoint?
I didn't actually, I didn't add up all the miles, and a lot of that is flying as well because Texas is so big.
Yeah.
But I do know that we spent at Texas Monthly just on receipts, reimbursing barbecue receipts was $26,000 for the whole group over that 6-month period.
So I'm looking at the top 10 list over at TexasMonthly.com. Daniel's website, by the way, tmbbq.com, as you can see below his name. And there's a lot of names that I believe I've seen before. I can't sit here and tell you if they were on the top 10 list or the top 10 list the last time or not, but just names of familiarity. So the last number one on the list, or last list number one, was Goldie's Barbecue, which fell all the way down to number 3. So
horror.
Yeah, not a gargantuan tumble by any stretch. I would imagine to be within the top 10 in successive lists has been great. I was pontificating if there had ever been a back-to-back number one on lists. Has that happened before?
No, there has not. I will say that in 97 and 2003 and in 2008, those lists included just like a grouping of a top 4 and top 5, and there were repeats in that. So Louis Miller Barbecue and Taylor, Kreitz Market and Lockhart, those were repeats in that sort of upper echelon. But no, so since I've come on as the barbecue editor in 2013, we've had Franklin Barbecue as number 1 in 2013, Snow's Barbecue in 2017, of course Goldie's in 2021, and then this year, Burnt Bean Co. in Seguin, Texas.
What makes Ernest and Dave so great?
They're really just a great duo. Ernest has got that chef's mentality, and David is just the workhorse there with the barbecue pits and making sure everything that comes out of them is perfect. They have a huge variety to their menu. I think one thing that people really know them for is their Sunday barbecue service, their breakfast service. This just fantastic barbecue brunch of brisket, huevos rancheros, and the Blue October of a croissant sandwich with a big fat slab of brisket on there and a fried egg and cream cheese and strawberry. It sounds like kind of a ridiculous combination of ingredients, and it's just magical. But then you have the straight up barbecue, and their brisket is unmatched. Some of their specials, like their Korean beef ribs on Sundays, and the lamb ribs with the chimichurri they serve, like It's really special, and they serve so much, which leaves so much room for mistakes, and they just don't make any.
When you tell David and Ernest that they're going to be released as number one, like how far in advance do they know? And then is it a crazy change from like that next day as soon as the list drops? Is the line around, instead of 2 city blocks, is it around 10 city blocks at that point?
Yeah. Well, first, we don't tell them. The list comes out and they learn it. That is how we try to keep it secret as long as we can. And, this time I say secret, like the list wasn't leaked or anything, but, Burnt Bean and Leroy and Lewis at number 2. I mean, both of these places, known quantities. I think a lot of people had either one of those as their guess for number 1. And so I don't think it came as a big surprise like Goldie's did back in 2021. Goldie's sort of came out of nowhere. These places, I mean, people know about them. People love them. People talk about them as the best in Texas before this list came out. So, that was certainly the number one prediction that I saw, was that Burnt Bean would be number 1. And I just had to, zip my lip and wait 3 months after after we'd actually made the final decision until we could release it. But yeah, we didn't tell them ahead of time at all. And, a lot of that is, we want them to be surprised along with everyone else. And we released it on a Tuesday, and a lot of these places don't open till, Thursday or Friday. So they had a couple of days to prepare. I think they assumed they would be in the top 10. I think the way that we did it this time around too, with we only sent photographers to the top 10, and they started talking to each other, and there were guesses about why photographers showed up at certain places, and then fact checkers talking, and anyway, the prediction game went on and on. But it's funny how many places I heard where absolutely this is the number 1 spot, and I saw the leaked list and I know it for a fact, and it's this one, or they're not going to name a number 1, I know it for a fact, or it's a tied number 1. And I saw a lot of those predictions that were sort of touted as inside information.
Does Vegas take action on this list?
No, I didn't see it anywhere. I didn't see any wagers, but the guys at the Tales from the Pit podcast, they were working with the barbecue distro folks to like you could enter, I think it was free to enter. You could enter your own guesses, and I think you had to guess up to the top 10 or maybe the top 5. I'm not sure exactly. I didn't feel like it was quite fair for me to enter.
When you look at the top 10, I only know how to ask this one way. Like, who sticks out to you as kind of a surprise to you that they made the top 10, considering everything else that's available?
Yeah, well, and I'm glad you said it that way, because a lot of these do end up being surprises to me. And I say that because a place like Lavaca Barbecue in Port Lavaca, I've eaten there before. I really enjoyed the food. Had great experiences there, enough to put them in the top 50 the last time around. But you get this assumption that what a place is doing today based on what you ate 2-3 years ago. And, our scores came back, and the taster that went out there was like, this is a different kind of place now. Like, this place is amazing. And I went there fully skeptical. Like, I know this is good, but how much better can it be? The menu doesn't look any different. And just the menu wasn't any different. It was the same stuff every item was just better than it had been last time. So that one was a surprise. GW's Barbecue down in San Juan, down in the Valley. That was another one that was a surprise. Just how good it had gotten. Like, again, a place that I had written about glowingly when I first reviewed it, but they were just on another level when I went back to visit for the top 50. So yeah, those would certainly be the two that stick out. And Interstellar Barbecue is there still in our top 10, and they were number 2 last time. And so I would say that those 2 spots are sort of our interstellar of this list, of the place that I knew was good, but I didn't know quite how good they had gotten over the last few years until I went back to revisit.
So to the other side of that, were there any surprise tumbles?
Yeah, a couple of them. Killen's Barbecue in Pearland, I mentioned. It's been on the top 50 ever since they opened. And they are such a big part of why Houston barbecue is popular today. And I just had a really rough visit there when I went to do my double checking, and it was one of those visits that I was like, well, if we put it on the top 50 based on this meal, then another customer who has this meal is probably not going to be very pleased if they come here to visit because it's in the top 50. So that's the way we've got to look at it. It's not, we can't ever be totally right, but we got to be as fair as we can be. Mickleweight Craft Barbecue, another one in Austin, another one that it hurt. I thought for sure that they were gonna just get even better when they moved into the brick and mortar, and just each time the brisket just wasn't quite there. And I tried over multiple visits to find what I knew they could do and what I'd had there before. And I think maybe it was just unlucky timing for my visits. I'm not sure, but yeah, that one was a big surprise to me as well.
Some of the old guard that I've seen take numbers in previous lists are also in Best of the Rest of the Barbecue, Franklin Barbecue, and Style Switch Barbecue. Have they
Snow's Barbecue?
Yeah, so all places I would love to eat at the drop of a hat. Like, no disrespect coming here. But do you get to a point where you just have hit your peak? You're like the running back on an NFL team. You were really great for that first contract. You signed the big contract, and now you're after that, your value is over per se, and now you're kind of at the tail end. So you're still a good running back, a serviceable running back, but you're just not going to command that second contract that you got after that first big rookie contract.
Yeah, no, I don't really see it that way because those running backs are wearing out, right? They're degrading.
I don't know. Nick Chubb seems to be finding a whole new career after he's tore both of his knees out multiple times.
Sure. Yeah, but they're getting roughed up, and they're not as quick as they used to be, and that's the reason they're just getting worn out, right? And that's not the case with these barbecue joints. Like a place like Franklin and Snow's Barbecue are still putting out just incredible barbecue. If we're gonna stick with a sports analogy, I guess it would be more like, if you were in that top 10 last time, it's kind of like being an Olympic sprinter. And then when it comes time for the next Olympics, everybody's faster, and it's just all the new folks who come in to challenge are faster and stronger, and just taking barbecue to new heights. So it's kind of, it is a little unfair, and I say that because if you've hit legendary status and you're a place like Franklin and Snow's Barbecue, then you're going to be serving that same menu that people expect when they come from, Australia or Europe or Africa to come eat your food, right? You want to serve them what you're known for, and not really deviate much. And, it's tough to do. It's tough to be on the cutting edge, I guess, if you're sort of have the expectation of serving that same menu the same way, year after year, decade after decade.
Anything else about the list you want to let us know about or tell us about that we don't know?
Just a lot of food trucks, and certainly barbecue food trucks have become the new barbecue shack. That shack where you might start out first, and like Chris Prieto didn't have to deal with. You start off small and grow. It was interesting to hear him talk, like the way he really felt the pressure to make a big splash.
Yeah.
When he started, because it totally goes against my advice to most barbecue joint owners, which is they get into it because they have a passion for barbecue, and that passion for barbecue usually is because they're pretty good at cooking barbecue, and that doesn't often translate into being a good business person. And so you gain those skills more slowly, I think. And so starting off slowly and starting your business small, I mean, that would be my advice to any entrepreneurs out there who are looking to get into barbecue. It is start off small, start off with fewer hours and fewer days that you're going to be serving, fewer menu items, and then grow from there based on your popularity of your barbecue joint or the popularity of individual dishes, and keep it going from there.
Any big stories that you're working on we should be on the lookout for?
Well, right now I'm writing about Yammy's Filipino Lechon, doing a little offshoot of barbecue, going with Puerto Rican Filipino barbecue. It's sort of the national dish for each one of those locations, and so there's this great food truck in Round Rock, Texas, who's doing it, and they're using just bellies instead of whole pigs, but you get that super crispy skin, and but they're also serving a whole Filipino menu. So if you want to get adventurous and try some dishes that maybe are unfamiliar to you, like I had earlier this week, last week, I tried their the dinaguan, which is it's a Filipino blood stew, like pig blood stew, and it's often made with pork offal, but this is made with pork belly and pork blood. And I see the look on your face, and and when I was going to take a bite, I expected this, like, this hit of minerality, right?
Yeah,
iron flavor, and it was so good. I mean, it was so good. And I brought it to some other people to eat, and they were skeptical as well. And they tried it, and just with all the herbs, all the lemongrass that's in there, and ginger, it's magical stuff. Like, it was really, really good. I was super impressed. So, just, kind of, I've still got plenty of barbecue joints to write about out there. It's just fun to do something a little, it's just a little different than brisket, ribs, and sausage.
I'm going back to Houston in a couple weeks. Where do I want to eat?
You got to go to Truth Barbecue.
I've been there.
It's Truth Barbecue, man.
No doubt.
And you can go for dinner as well. So they got their dinner hours, but brisket and rice is a new one on our list. And man, it's a fun one because they've got some unique dishes with the brisket fried rice, of course, but they have this poor man's macaroni, which is a sort of Americanized Vietnamese staple, and it is kind of overcooked pasta and a sauce made with chopped bacon and tomato paste, and it is filling and delicious and just super savory. Yeah, that was one of my favorites there. And then you get that right alongside like this classic Central Texas smoked beef sausage, along with your brisket fried rice. So yeah, that's a fun one.
All right, brisket and rice. So we're going to try that out when we head down there. We're talking to Daniel Vaughn, and if you haven't perused it yet, make sure you stop over to the website and check out the new top 50 list. Daniel, always appreciate the time, and we'll see you again in 3 months.
Absolutely. Great to see you.
You too. It's our pal Daniel Vaughn over there at Texas Monthly. TMBBQ.com, his website, of course, so make sure that you are checking it out on a frequent basis and checking out what Daniel is writing about. Always bringing you interesting stories, but then some very unique outside-the-box stories. Always keeping you wanting more, keeping you coming back to see what's happening in the live fire world. All right, before we wrap it up, let's talk quickly about Green Mountain Grills. For 17 years, Green Mountain Grills has brought the smoke to the competition scene and the backyards all over the world. Their Venturi-style firebox delivers the cleanest 150-degree smoke in the pellet game. The new redesigned 2025 Prime 2.0 grill blends the proven technology of the past with the technology of the future. GMG, the original innovator in all things Wi-Fi, continuing to give the user granular options to control your grill in any environment and from anywhere. Green Mountain Grill also leading the pack in accessory creation, from their pizza attachment that delivers pizza in 2 minutes to rotisseries to add-on side burners. Check out the new 2.0 Green Mountain Grill at greenmountaingrills.com. And as Steve Ray said in his segment, selling like hotcakes in Ooltewah, Tennessee, which means they're selling like hotcakes everywhere That's a microcosm of the country, for crying out loud. All right, we're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. We thank Daniel Vaughn for joining us last segment. TMBBQ.com is his website. Pit Life Barbecue Podcast. I believe the Ranch Kettle can cook 220 hot dogs. Wow.
Hey, everybody. Can I trouble you for a haul, yeah?
That's a lot of hot dogs. Like, all the hot dogs, evidently. 220. That's enough for a Cleveland Guardians baseball game on a Saturday, to say the least. All right, let's go ahead and get out of here. All the way back in the first hour, Ryan Zaboro from Pits and Spits. Then we had a Steve Ray with a look at, was it Jimmy? Is that his name, Jimmy? Second hour, we had first-time guest Chris Prieto of Prime BBQ, prime-bbq.com, and then closing it out with Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly, tmbbq.com. By the way, Pits and Spits is Pits and Spits, all spelled out with a double T on the pitsandspits.com. And then Steve Ray's website, owlsnestbbq.com. If you can believe it, we're already in the 4th week of June, next Tuesday. And we'll be in the teeth of summer here before you know it. Big show planned for you next week. You know, the second hour is going to have the embedded correspondence. We have other guests in the first hour as well that I'm not even going to tell you about. It's too secret. But it might have something to do with the earth burning. We'll let that one cast. See what bites we get. So, how do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying, "Oh, that's nice."
Ooh, this is nice.
It's Sam the Cooking Guy, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Some call him a fool, some even call him a douchebag. But I say Greg Rempe is the greatest thing to happen to barbecue since caveman.